Well, hello. So this is a very spur of the moment video, and it's actually the just got home and I put on comfortable clothes and I got this. I was like, we'll come here and nip this in the bud right now. This has actually been something that people have done for a long time, as long as I've been aware of studying Bible prophecy, people have for decades. Even before I started studying Bible prophecy, tried to name the Antichrist, the rider on the white horse, the one who comes in the place of Christ. People have done this so often for so long. There is a reason that the Bible doesn't give the identity of that person. All it says is it's the prince who shall come is of the people who destroyed the city and the sanctuary in 70 AD. 70 AD was the Roman Empire, not to be confused with Rome, the Roman Empire. And if you look at the geographical land area that covered in 70 AD when the temple was destroyed, it includes parts of Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. It is extraordinarily geographically dispersed. And what I will say is that obviously the Roman Empire also included Israel, where Jerusalem was, the temple destroyed. So, what you're basically doing is limiting yourself, or try, I guess the people who try to identify someone who isn't identified is a losing proposition. It's basically like in Revelation 10, where the seven thunders utter their voices, and John is told to write not the things which he hears, and people are like, what do they say? Well, he didn't write it down, so we don't know. I mean, it's a strange thing to spend time on, to my way of thinking, only because we aren't told. And if we were intended to know, we would be told. All it says is in Daniel 9:26, the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. So it tells you that the place where he will come from is somehow geographically related to the old Roman Empire. And Rome and Roman Empire are not synonymous. That is something that's one of the things that I dislike about the King James. Is the time period that it was written in was related to the Reformation, where Catholicism was and Christianity was which Christianity is still but the writers of the King James had a bent against Catholicism. And so they write it in a specific way as to where people think that Babylon is Rome, and the second beast is the Pope, and the prince that shall come is going to be from Rome somehow. Like literally, that is what the King James, the way that it is written, leads you to believe. And that's why in 2 Thessalonians 2, there is such a large group of people who talk about apostasia as a falling away from the faith, because that's what the writers of the King James were doing in the Reformation, was falling away from the Catholic faith. And so they write it toward this religious bent that doesn't exist. And people have taken it way out of context for so long that everyone just believes Rome and the Pope and all this stuff. It is character assassination to assign the rider on the white horse, who has dealings with starting the greatest period of hardship that the world will have ever known up to that point, and pinning it on a specific person that the Bible doesn't say it should be pinned to. Like, that is one of the most blatant character assassinations that somebody can do, is like, oh, that's the rider on the white horse. That's the Antichrist. More specifically, the person who is the actual world leader is not the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6. It's the beast. The beast in Revelation 13, the one who overcomes and kills the two witnesses 3.5 days before the midpoint of the 70th week, and he's given power to continue 40 and 2 months. The one who commits the abomination of desolation, the one who goes to Babylon, sets up shop, the one who Jesus does battle with at the second coming and throws into the lake of fire 1,007 years before everyone else. The little horn that comes up among the 10 in Daniel 7, and he's given a mouth speaking great words, and his body is going to be given to the burning flame. The fourth beast in Daniel 7, the fourth kingdom in Daniel 2. That guy is named in Revelation 9:11. He is the angel of the bottomless pit. Abaddon in the Greek, Abaddon in the Greek, and Apollyon in the Hebrew. The one who will go about his destruction. Revelation 17:8 says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. Go about his destruction. Destruction is the Greek word apolia. He is named Apollyon, which means the destroyer. The world leader in the 70th week is the beast, who ascends out of the bottomless pit 3½ days before the midpoint of the 70th week and is given power to continue for the 42 months, 1,260 days, times and in half, the second part of the 70th week. He is not the rider on the white horse. There is nothing related in prophecy to the rider on the white horse that suggests that guy is going to be a world leader. That's why people who don't understand what the covenant is, and they don't understand that the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6 and Revelation 13's beast are two totally different people with two totally different agendas and two totally different time periods. They conflate these two things, and they're like, oh, well, the covenant must be some peace deal, and this rider on the white horse has got to get the world on board, and he's got to get like the buy-in from all these world leaders. And so I just got a comment talking about Erdogan of Turkey. And it's like, no, folks. The rider on the white horse in Revelation 6 is specific to Israel. He's called the people of the prince. He's the prince, lowercase p, in comparison to Messiah the prince, who was mentioned in Daniel 9:25. He's the prince that shall come. He is going to be Israel-focused only. In Ezekiel, which is counterpart Ezekiel's end times vision, chapters 40 through 48, one singular vision which comprises the end times. Daniel uses terminology prince, and Ezekiel uses terminology prince to tell you specifically what the role of the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6 will be during the 70th week, during that first half when he's there. People say, well, what happens to him if he's not the same guy? I don't know. We're not told. Maybe he's killed. Maybe he's not. I don't know. His purpose is to help Israel set up their temple and their sacrificial system. And the prince's part is to help them offer those sacrifices. Yes, the end times vision is supposed to relate to the millennial kingdom, but we know that they will do things 7 years prior for the wrong guy. When it refers to the prince's part, and Daniel tells us that he is the prince that shall come, that is what the rider on the white horse will be doing in the 70th week. He's got nothing to do with the world. He has to do with Israel only. He is the one that will facilitate the temple and the sacrificial system and all of that until the second guy ascends out of the bottomless pit and stops all of that. The he that shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week ain't the guy who in the midst of the week will cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate. Two totally different people. The first is Revelation 6's rider on the white horse. He's the prince that shall come. Read Ezekiel 43 through 48 with regard to the prince. I'll tell you specifically what the prince, the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6, will be doing for his time during the first half of the 70th week until the beast will ascend out of the bottomless pit and then give him power to continue 40 and 2 months, set up shop in Babylon, that eventually the army of the beast will destroy because they hate her and they want her dead and they'll burn her with fire. And then less than like an hour later, Jesus is coming back the second coming to throw him into his own lake of fire. Oh, not his own, but throw him into the lake of fire, burn him with fire eternally. So a couple of points I want to make here. And I've got videos about this. I can link one in the description box when I'm done here. Revelation 6's rider on the white horse is not the global leader. Revelation 13's beast is the global leader. So for us to be looking for the rise of someone right now is pointless. This is literally pointless. The prince that shall come is not specifically named, but we know what he'll be doing based on Ezekiel's end times vision, and that is doing lawful things. I call them prince lawful and king lawless, because the prince that shall come is the prince who facilitates the sacrifices and offerings at the temple per Ezekiel's end times vision. In contrast to the Messiah, the prince, who will rule and reign from Jerusalem and do those things in the kingdom. You're looking for the one who comes in the place of. This is specifically why Daniel uses terminology prince, Messiah the prince, and the prince that shall come, because Ezekiel tells you the prince's part. So read that. It tells you the prince lawful part. And the king lawless is the one who puts an end to that. Very antithetical. Different person, different purpose, different time periods. And Daniel is the one who calls him the king. The king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt himself, magnify himself above every god, shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, i.e., read shall be given power to continue 40 and 2 months. Shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. And we are told in Daniel 12 that from the midpoint of the week, the abomination of desolation, there will be times and in half, until he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, and all these things shall be finished. 42 months, 1,260 days, times and in half. That's the second half of the 70th week. Since they are not the same guy, we are specifically told, very specifically told in the book of Revelation who the beast is, who the world leader is. He ain't here. He's not going to be here until trumpet 6 when he ascends out of the bottomless pit. Is literally what Revelation 17:8 says. The beast that thou sawest was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into destruction, go into perdition. And they that wander on the earth shall worship him. Revelation 13:8, whose names were not written in the book of life, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. When shall he ascend out of the bottomless pit? Very specifically stated to be Revelation 11:7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, talking about the two witnesses, the beast that ascendeth, present tense, at that point, out of the bottomless pit, shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. And then their bodies are going to lie dead in the street for 3.5 days until the Spirit of God breathes life into them. They stand on their feet in front of everybody. Great fear falls upon the whole world, or everyone that sees, when they start ascending up to heaven with 144,000 witnesses. And God's like, yeah, you had your chance to repent and you didn't. Then the nations were angry and his wrath comes, which is synonymous with the last 42 months. So that's the first point. Revelation 6, rider on the white horse, Revelation 13's beast are not the same person. You've got a prince, Daniel 9:26, and a king, Daniel 11:36. Daniel 9:26, Daniel 11:36. Talking too fast. Slow down, Heather. Second part. We are told very specifically who the world leader is. That's the beast. That's the second half of the 70th week guy. The first half of the 70th week is the prince. He will be Israel specific only. This is a huge misunderstanding on what the covenant is. It's not involving the world. It's not an accord involving the world. It is literally a resumption of the old covenant, which the prince who shall come will facilitate. It is Israel specific in the first half of the 70th week. They build their temple, they resume their sacrificial system, and the prince who shall come, the one who comes in the place of Christ, is the facilitator of that. Who that shall be, we don't know. We are not told, and we don't need to know, and we shouldn't be looking for it. It's not going to be a Muslim guy. It's not going to be Erdogan from Turkey, and it's not going to be some dude from Poland, and it's not going to be the Pope at the Vatican. It's going to be a Jewish guy, a Hebrew guy, who is qualified to facilitate the sacrifices and offerings according to the old covenant. Just like Jesus, as the high priest in the new covenant, will be able to facilitate those things in the millennial kingdom. So people can speculate all they want. Obviously, I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. I'm just telling you it's a fruitless endeavor. We're not told who it is for a reason, because we aren't meant to know, because it has nothing to do with us. And to look for that guy takes focus off of who we should actually be looking for, who is Jesus. We should be looking for him and studying about him and his soon return. The Bible is not going to give you information to pit your focus against who it should be on. You don't need to know who it is. It doesn't pertain to you. And no one's going to know until the aftermath of Gog and Magog. That is what is going to shift the paradigm. That is who will bring the leader who needs to be brought to focus into focus. Until then, nobody is going to know. After that, they will know, and it will happen. As far as the world leader part, all of us can know that now. That's the beast. It's Revelation 9:11's beast. It ascends out of the bottomless pit in Revelation 11:12. And he specifically stated to do so, to be the end times guy in Revelation 17:8. So my advice, take it for what you will, is don't worry about what world leader is important now, because it doesn't matter and that's irrelevant, because the prince, the rider on the white horse, is a Jewish guy who's going to facilitate the rebuilding of the temple and the reinstitution of the sacrificial system. My advice, read Ezekiel's End Times Vision, chapters 40 through 48, and look specifically for identification of the prince. And then you shall know what he will be doing during the 70th week. Have a nice day. Hi, Wendy.